the last fight, the main event, Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. More or less, fight went as expected, with Adesanya being the way better striker and Vittori's grappling not being at the level it needed to get it done. Having said that, Vittori was kind of surprisingly impressive and effective. He really, as much as his legs got lit up like a Christmas tree over 5 rounds, Adesanya, just ever since that Romero fight, it's like it clicked for him, especially out of the southpaw stance, how much damage he can do with that power leg kick. Because it's been so evident. He started doing it in the Romero fight, and then it was a huge part of the Costa fight. He tried to do it in the Blachowicz fight. Blachowicz checks kicks really well. And then again, probably the single most effective strike Saturday night against Vittori. He just landed it again and again. You saw Vittori's legs buckling. But like I said, to his credit, he continued to walk forward, never really stopped. He did take down Adesanya a couple times. And I'll say again, especially the first takedown he got, to his credit, he did want to do some damage with it, progress position. You saw Blachowicz be very, very careful about keeping his hips and body tight on Adesanya so he couldn't get up. Vettori tried to posture up, get ground and pound off, and Adesanya is a really, really good defensive grappler at this point. And you give him space to work, he'll pop right back up. That's what happened. Later takedowns that Vittori landed, I thought it was more Adesanya doing all the work to get up, and Vittori was more trying just to hold him down. But for the most part, Vittori couldn't even get Adesanya down. A fair amount of time spent with Vittori trying having Adesanya's back against the cage, trying to make something happen, but Adesanya just too good with the elbows to the head, the balance, the wide hips, and fighting off the hands of Vittori. What else? Yeah, Adesanya's back was against the cage a fair bit, which again, credit to Vittori, but nothing came of it. I mean, Adesanya played Matador perfectly with the head movement, but I've never really seen anyone get Izzy into that vulnerable, a position that vulnerable consistently. I think the reach of Adesanya makes it so dangerous. Even when you have him there, you can't really swing for the fences willy nilly because he will counter and make you pay. And you saw that play out a couple times. So overall, Adesanya looked exactly as good as we thought. Marvin Vittori, tougher than a lot of people thought. I saw some people saying Marvin Vittori is a better Paulo Costa than Paulo Costa. Maybe that's what we wouldn't seen if that alleged bottle of wine hadn't been drunk in September. I'm not sure. Anyway, what this fight really did was get me even more excited for Adesanya Whitaker. That's what Adesanya called for after the fight, which is awesome. It seems like that's what's going to happen next. And I think Whitaker does. You need a couple things. You need really high fight IQ, and you need some good wrestling ability to beat Adesanya. And Whitaker probably has those two things more than anyone else at middleweight. The explosiveness a little different than Blachowicz, the other guy who's taking a win off him. But I'm so curious to see, because I know Whitaker is going to plan for those leg kicks. I know he's going to figure out how to best like mitigate that reach gap with his explosiveness, take notes from their first fight. And I think that's the best fight you can make at middleweight right now. And especially with Vettori constantly getting Adesanya's back against the cage, I'd love to see the fight with Whitaker having Adesanya in that position, because the striking he's shown against Till, against Cannonier, against Gastelum has just been leaps and bounds of what we saw when he was champion and when he fought Izzy. So I think that rematch is going to be so awesome. And that's absolutely the fight to make at middleweight, because Israel Adesanya continues to be a fantastic champion at that division. So hats off to Izzy for another successful title defense, and hats off even more to Walking Out to Somewhere I Belong by Linkin Park. Loved that. That's going to wrap up this Combat Corner.